Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. So today we're going to kind of mix an AD carry tier list with new builds for every single AD. So this is what everybody is running right now. You can kind of run other stuff if you want to, but this is going to be the best one for every single AD. We're going to start with our tier 1 champions, then tier 2, 3, and finally end with our 4. But we're actually going to begin with Aphelios, and I'm not going to tier him because honestly, we don't really know how good he is yet. One thing we do know is he is insanely irritating to play against. He's really confusing, and nobody really knows exactly where his damage comes from. He does seem pretty good right now. Actually, like stat-wise, he wins a lot of games really early into the game, and then he kind of falls off a bit later. Has a pretty good mid-game, but that's probably more to do with not knowing how to play him yet and being a little bit immobile, and if someone jumps on top of you, you're probably dead. For our runes, we're going to be running Pressy Attack as our keystone most of the time, and then go into Inspiration as our secondary tree. Pressy Attack is really easy to stack up with the Aphelios, and you're going to be able to get this online, boost your Q damage, boost your ultimate damage as well, and it makes you hit like a truck. Build-wise as well, it's going to be 100% crit, so Essence Reaver into Runins, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and Bloodthirster. There is one really big change that we have moving into Season 10, and that is our crit rework system, right? The Cloak of Agilities in particular. So these things are pretty cheap. They're only 800 gold and they give you 25% crit, but they aren't unique. So you can get your first item like Essence Reaver with Aphelios, and then you can go into a crit cloak and another one, and eventually you build them into something, but very early it gives you 100% crit. There are some champions who can do that a little bit better, and some of those are in tier 1. So these champions are ones that I think you can pick pretty much every single game. The first of these, and probably the best AD in the game at the moment, is going to be Kalyn, and a lot of it is to do with the abusing the crit cloaks. Starting with our runes though, we're going to take our Fleet Footwork, our Bloodline, Inspiration Secondary. That actually hasn't changed from our last season. Their items though are going to be Stormrazor, the new one, actually really good on Kalyn. It gives you the long range damage, but also the slow. And then we go Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire, Shiv, and Guardian Angel. Now you're not actually going to buy them in that order though, because most of the time you'll go Stormrazor into Crit Cloaks, maybe just Infinity Edge into Crit Cloaks as well. That actually works. We said the idea is that you reach 100% crit really early into the game, which is really good. But actually for Kalyn, it's even better because your headshot damage is increased by critical strike chance. So next up in our tier 1, we have Kalista. We're going to stick with our same rune page. We have Pressy Attack, we have Bloodline, and we have Inspiration. Item wise, we're going to go back to our Stormrazor build, Berserkers, Rageblade, Runins, Infinity Edge, and Guardian Angel. There are some other things you can do here, so you can go Phantom Dancer instead of Runins if you want some more defense. You can get your Zhonya's as well, and you can actually go AP. Manamu first isn't going to be as good though, because Stormrazor is just a perfect item. It makes it kind of an assassin, and it gives you 25% crit now. The idea is that you have your Stormrazor, you have Pickaxe from your Rageblade at level 10, that upgrades your Q, and then the next two items get you to 75% crit with Infinity Edge, which is such a huge power spike. Now, next up might seem a little bit weird, but Misfortune is actually one of the best ADs in the game at the moment as well. We're running this Pressy Attack page. We have our Overheal and our Lifesteal, so it's quite heavy on that shielding and kind of survival part, and then our Inspiration secondary. Our build is also full crit. It's Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire, Guardian Angel, and then a Bloodthirster. So we don't go 100% normally, but we stack the AD instead. You can actually get Stormrazor later as well if you want to, because it has the AD, but also 25% crit, which is pretty good. And you can get the crit cloaks, but honestly, AD is really important for Misfortune, so it's not as good. Right now, she is so dominant, like she scales really well, and she's basically like an ability caster with very little counterplay early into the game that spikes super hard. So last up in tier 1, we have our Lucian, and this one is a bit surprising. I actually thought it was going to be a little bit worse, but we've gone back to our Blade build, and our win rate has gone up. Rune-wise, we're Pressy Attack still going Inspiration for a better lane phase, but as I said, the items, so it's going to be Blade first, then Essence Reaver, Rapid Fire, Infinity Edge, and Guardian Angel. There are a couple of adaptations you can make as well, like you can go Essence Reaver first. Not many people do it anymore, and I actually prefer Blade now. And you can also go Infinity Edge at third instead of Rapid Fire, and it just gives you a ton of AD. Let's move into our tier 2. So these champions are really good, like really good. You can practically pick them every single game, but there's just like one thing that probably lets them down. So first up, we have Jhin. This guy is really good right now with the new Stormrazor and the abusing of the cloak system like we have with Kalyn. Your keystone is normally going to be Fleet Footwork, and then secondary, we're going into Sorcery with Celerity for the move speed and Gathering Storm, so we power up a little bit later. So as we said, the build starts with Stormrazor, but then we normally see them going into 3 cloaks afterwards, and those cloaks are going to turn into other stuff later, but it gives you that burst of power. The first cloak is going to turn into a Rapid Fire, so that's our second item. Then we go into Infinity Edge, and then we go into Phantom Dancer and end it with a Guardian Angel. So next up, we have Ashe. She's still really good. She was really good at the end of Season 9, still really good into Priest preseason, kind of your utility setup AD that is really useful for the rest of your team. Keystone, we're still going with lethal tempo. The only real rune change here is that we're taking approach velocity most of the time now. This is the one where you slow somebody, you can chase them, and your move speed is increased. Item-wise, we've gone back to our blade build. Not really not really essence reaver as much as before. Our second item is runes to apply the lifesteal and bolts and the volleys and everything on all three of those. And then we have Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and Guardian Angel. One of the ones I think has really come back into the meta recently is also Vayne. So she's really strong at the moment. She's an excellent duelist. She's really weak early game still like before, but she's really good late game. Especially with these late game champions, if you pair them up with the Dragon Soul, it makes them even better. And honestly, there's very little counterplay when it gets to that level. So rune-wise, we're going Pressy Attack and we're going Inspiration Secondary. Gives us a bit of a better lane phase, which we desperately need. But you can go Domination if you want a bit more power and healing mid to late game. Item-wise, it is going to be Blade. Storm Razor isn't too bad first, but we go Blade, Rage Blade, Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, and Guardian Angel. So kind of last up in our tier 2, we have our Jinx. Probably the safest, most reliable pick you can go for at the moment, especially at lower ranks. She shreds these towers and champions as well. You actually have probably the most choice out of runes out of every AD. Even though it sounds kind of weird, you can use your Lethal Tempo or Fleetful Work as your keystone. I recommend Lethal Tempo, and I also recommend Sorcery Secondary so you can scale up with Gathering Storm, but you can go Inspiration as well if you want a bit of a better lane phase with your free boots and your biscuits. Item-wise, we're going to be rushing our Infinity Edge, and then we're going to go into Runins, Rapid Fire, Bloodthirster, and Guardian Angel. You could also do the Cloak Trick as well with Jinx, so you get your Infinity Edge, and then you have your 2 cloaks afterwards. Just the 2, not the 3. We don't really have to go 100%. This works actually even better than on other champions because we're rushing our Infinity Edge first, so that actually increases our crit damage, and then we're getting that to 75% almost instantly. Quick mention as well though, if Senna was going to be in this video, I think she's better as support now after the AD carry nerfs, but if she was going to be AD carry, she'd probably fit in around here and with that Manamune build. Let's go into our tier 3 champions. So these are kind of our regular AD carries. They're pretty good. You can carry on them as well, but they aren't going to be like the S tier. They're not going to be the best. First up, we have our Tristana. So she's actually really good with the new Storm Razor. Again, you can go Cloak for more bursts as well. But jumping in, she's actually really powerful early game. Rune-wise, we have Pressy Attack. We have our Inspiration as well. Pressy Attack is really good. And once you get your Storm Razor with the slow as well, it makes it really easy to jump in and stack it up because they just can't get away. Normally, you'll go for your Storm Razor into 2 cloaks, but those cloaks will turn it into Rapid Fire and Infinity Edge, and then we'll go Bloodthirster and Guardian Angel. Next up, we can have Sivir. She's not the worst champion right now, but honestly, if you want utility, you go Ashe, and if you want crit, you basically go Kalyn. So she's kind of like stuck in the middle. Lethal Tempo is going to be our keystone, and we're going to go Inspiration normally as our secondary to have a bit of a better lane phase and kind of get to our crit items as soon as possible. Our items actually haven't really changed at all. We go Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Rapid Fire Cannon, and then a Bloodthirster, but you can do the little trick, go Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge into 2 cloaks for 100%. So another champion like that as well that isn't quite as good as she used to be just because the early phase kind of lets her down and Kalyn is a better version is Xayah. Runes in the build actually haven't changed at all. We don't go Storm Razor. It's not a terrible item, but we really want the cooldown reduction from Essence Reaver, especially with that ultimate nerf a little while ago. So Keystone is still Lethal Tempo. Get those feathers out as soon as possible. Inspiration still for a better lane phase. And then as I said, Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire, Phantom Dancer, and Guardian Angel. The weird thing with this as well is the Cloak Trick doesn't really work as well because you desperately need attack speed to make the most use out of your W while it's active. Next up, we have our Draven, and honestly, the new crit changes and everything just didn't really favor him that much. The meta doesn't suit him either, and he has actually dropped pretty far down. A good Draven is still pretty deadly. I just think there are better picks at the moment, basically, but our keystone is normally going to be Pressy Attack. You can try Conqueror. It's not quite as good normally, though, and then we go Gathering Storm and Absolute Focus for the damage. First item is normally going to be a Bloodthirster. Last season, it was kind of split between Infinity Edge and Bloodthirster, but now it's normally going to be that lifesteal. Then we go into Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire, Phantom Dancer, and Guardian Angel. The last two in this tier are a little bit different. So Twitch, I think there are better options like Vayne, for example. But if you get to late game, Twitch is still going to be one of the best AD carries in the entire game. For your keystone, you can go Lethal Tempo, but most people go Pressy Attack. It gives you a bit more damage early game and has really good synergy with your poison and an inspiration to survive that lane phase. Item-wise, we're going to be going Blade, Runins, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and then Guardian Angel. Again, the crit cloak trick doesn't really work that well on Twitch right now, so he's not in the best place, but he's not bad either. Last up, we have our Ezreal, and I actually think Ezreal is a decent champion right now, but the issue is his keystone is just honestly not that good. Unfortunately, we have to take Conqueror, but that was nerfed to range champions this patch, so that is kind of of another hit to him anyway. We take Presence of Mind, which is actually really good on him. A mana flow ban, and then cooldown reduction in our secondary. Item-wise as well, you can't really go defense as much because you just honestly will fall behind these other crit AD carries and you end up doing pretty much nothing. That means we go our Mana Immune into our Trinity Force, Blade, and then Guardian Angel, and a kind of adaptation for Season 10 so far is our Dustblade. Dustblade applies on your Q. It's really good poke, and it kind of turns you into a little bit more of an assassin, which kind of gives him a role in the game because honestly his damage in a team fight just isn't that high anymore. Last up, we have our 3 tier 4 champions. They're all pretty even, and I actually think they probably deserve a rework at some level for all of them because they honestly just don't really fit with how we play AD carry anymore. So Kog'Maw's damage is actually pretty good, and you can say that he is a bit higher, but he basically needs an entire team comp to be played around him, otherwise he doesn't really work. The runes in the build haven't changed at all. We have Lethal Tempo, we have Inspiration Secondary, Blade, Rage Bait, Runes, Infinity Edge, and Guardian Angel. And next one, Varus, is actually completely the same. Same rune page, same items as well. You can't really go lethality anymore. AP doesn't work anymore, which I'm really sad about, so you have to go this. Varus is not too bad, but Ashe is just way better. Like, if you want to play utility and engage and stuff, you basically just pick Ashe. Last up then we have Calista, and this video is more aimed at like gold, plat, and maybe low diamond, which is probably where Calista is, but like higher up she's actually not terrible. You can go ahead of Blades, but Lethal Tempo is normally much better, much safer as well, and then we go Domination as a secondary. The build is a bit awkward as well, like Blade into Runans, Bloodthirster, so you get your double healing and on all those bolts as well, which is really good. Then Guardian Angel and Mercurial Scimitar. I honestly think she kind of needs a rework, and at this point as well, like if I ever play her, most of my supports just have no idea what they're doing anymore because they haven't played with the Calista in like a year or two. That is going to wrap up the video going through all of these. I'm sorry I couldn't really talk about all of them that much, but this would have been a really long video otherwise. Let me know what you think if you would have moved these picks around a little bit or like change the items around, but thank you for watching until the very end of the video, and for now, I will leave you with the Red Boss.